Hey out there, Uncensored family, we have a super special show today. Actually, it's a mighty good show today. I'm not even going to bury the lead. We are so excited. Today, we're going to boogie with the bear. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, Karan Ashley has returned to Uncensored Radio. Hello, Karan. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. I'm super
Welcome.
excited to be back, and I'm just happy to be here. Happy to meet the both of you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, last time there were no random Australian men talking to you, so we keep
I
it
like
fresh.
random Australian men.
Who doesn't love a random Australian man? So how's things going for you today? Where in the world are you? What's going on at this very moment in Karan Ashley land?
I'm actually home, if you can believe it. I'm in Los Angeles. I travel a lot, so I know that's a crazy question. I mean, that's not a crazy question to ask because I'm usually somewhere else. But I'm home. I had a few weeks off, and I've just been enjoying myself. I'm going to go see some family next week, and I've kind of been working. It's funny, when I'm home, I still have to work like a lot. I've got a lot going on here. I'm working on a few new projects. So every single day I'm working on something else.
Every day you're hustling, isn't that right, girl?
Exactly.
You gotta keep the hustle going. You gotta keep that hustle going. Now you have been a hustler since day one, Karan, because I don't know how many people know, and I spotted behind you when you stood up. You used to be in a girl band, right?
I did. I was in Crush.
You were in Crush. Woohoo!
I know. You guys got the album.
Oh,
I found it on eBay and was like, I bought like 5 of them.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
For the people that don't know out there, you worked with some fairly exciting people that are, back in the zeitgeist. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, which is, Janet Jackson,
Yeah. They, I mean, if you saw that Janet Jackson, oh, hey, if you saw that documentary recently, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Janet Jackson, they've worked with Mariah Carey, Usher, they've worked with New Edition. I mean, anybody in R&B, Prince, they've worked with everybody. So it was very amazing to work with them. And I was super young. I started when I was like 12 or 13.
I was about to say, you were doing this during high school, right?
Yeah, it was before Power Rangers. I always tell people I had a whole life before Power Rangers, which they don't think that I do.
No, they never do they?
My parents think my life started the minute I put that spandex on, but no, I was in a singing group. We were signed to A&M Records, and I did that all through high school. And I always give that experience the credit for me getting the part on Power Rangers, because it kind of like, we would work out and our work ethic was, I mean, crazy. So when it came to me like auditioning and being ready for that audition and rehearsing, like I went to the audition and I had already had choreography in my head. So when they said dance, I like hit 8 counts.
Because that's how you got it. Hey, you were a dancer. Yeah. And they were like,
you had to be a dancer, a martial artist, or a gymnast. And so I hit a routine, and it wasn't just like ad-libbing. I actually had a routine that I hit. And I think that helped me. But that was because I learned that from Crush. Like, I learned how to be ready. And then when they gave me notes and said, hey, we want you to audition for producers, but this time add some kicks, add some punches, I instantly called like a martial arts friend of mine. I called my other friend who he was like 10 times better the choreographer than I was. And I told them what we needed to do. And like literally, it was like a Sunday. We worked from the moment the sun was up until I couldn't take it anymore. And then that next morning I got on a flight and I did what we worked out. And I just felt
you were getting that part though, girl. You were putting in the work.
I felt like, it's funny because I felt like it's mine to lose. I know that amongst the people that are here, I've got, I may not be, I hadn't gotten an acting job, like a big acting job yet. I'd done some commercials and stuff, but I knew like, this is my chance to break through. This is my chance to, do this. And I've got some experience, you know, and I'd had my first audition when I was in Crush. I auditioned for Sister Act 2. I didn't get the part.
Damn.
But I knew what that process was. So I was like, man, this is my chance to lose. And it's funny because they put us in a group, and it was me, Steve, and Johnny. Like, they saw it instantly.
Yeah.
They put us three together, and we had to go in, and we each did our individual. We each did our individual audition. And like, literally, they said, you know, they were like, you know, I remember we were going in, and Steve was like, guys, this is our chance. Either we go in there and get it, or, you know, we're gonna let these other guys get it. And we were like, okay. Like, it was like a pep talk, but it was true. That's how I think we all three went in. Like, we went in like, I don't know. We just went in so determined.
The chemistry was there, though. They knew too. Like,
it was.
These guys fit.
Yeah, we hit it off instantly. And they were, you know what it is? Like, when you're an actor, I tell people this all the time, especially people who are trying to become an actor. Like, they know what they're looking for. They have a look, you know? And so I think when they decided, you know, they, you know, we're going to go, you know, African-American girl, then they knew they wanted an Asian guy. They wanted, you know, because it was pretty much, that's kind of how it came. Like, the girls that I were up against, it was me and another African-American girl, and there was a Caucasian girl, but it was just the three of us. So they obviously kind of knew, like, they know what they're wanting, and they kind of know the look that they're going for. And I just remember that the Caucasian girl, she was a really good martial artist. So, you know, I was like, okay, so it's going to go against the acting. It's all of it, the acting, the personality, the, you know, skill. So even though I danced, it was a very physical dance. Like, I was on the floor, I was doing kicks, I was I mean, it was like I was doing all these things. So you had to be very physical. And I quickly let them know that even though I wasn't a martial artist, I could handle, you know, a fight.
And was that daunting, though, to know that, like, I've got to do my own stunts on this show, but there ain't no double?
yeah, because that's the thing. Like, when we fought, we had like those, what they called them, the civilian fight. That was when we fought, like, in our regular clothes. We weren't Power Rangers, or we hadn't morphed yet. It was so daunting because, like, they literally would go, okay, go over there. You got 20 minutes, figure it out. And you would work with the stunt team, learn the fight, and then you would shoot it. Like, we didn't have a week to prepare. You know, we had 20, 30 minutes to learn.
But then again, you being a dancer, that is what we do. Oh, sorry.
You know?
I'm a retired dancer. I'm a dance teacher now. So I always tell my students that the stuff you learn now, you can translate to 700 different things. And
I will tell you, I remember once I was in a commercial audition. Remember when, like, Old Navy had those commercials where you dance? People were dancing. I think they have one out right now. Like, literally, it was like the dancers of all dancers were on this commercial. And I mean, it was the hardest audition, but I got all the way to the end. And I was like, oh my gosh, all those dance classes, all that Power Ranger choreography, cramming, like, you have to cram the, you know, the choreography in your brain in 2.2 seconds. Like, that is exactly what you got to do. You know, you just got to be ready. And
you go, Mum, thank you for paying for those lessons. like over all those lessons, all those rehearsals, everything.
Yeah. I was like, thanks for me, Jam and Terry Lewis, for paying for our dance classes.
That's the way it goes. So tell us, so the Ranger audition sounds like it was, and that whole experience of, you know, going to a cattle call, LA, oh, you've got a job, congratulations. And by the way, you're not only going to be in the #1 TV show in the world, there's a movie attached. Like, how does your life, how do you factor that into your brain? Because one day you were just you, and then the next minute, boom, Yellow Spandex was your destiny.
You're right, Aisha.
You don't really factor it into your brain, because it was like everyone else. You'll talk to them, and they had like a month long or 2 months, 3 months of where they were really like auditioning people. You know, we were up against the clock because 3 cast members had left the show. And they needed, like, they literally had, production had stopped. And so they were like, until we get 3 more, we're not going to be able to move forward. And we're shooting a movie in 6 weeks. So it was like, what would have taken, you know, normally a couple months to get a part, or 3 or 4 or 5 auditions, it literally was a matter of 3 auditions. Like, we had that first cattle call. We had another one, which was still a cattle call. It was like still like 100 people there. And then we had the trip to LA where there was probably like 15 of us. And it was crazy because it happened over the course of like 4 or 5 days. So it was like, I literally was at home going, I'm moving to LA. I'm going to sleep on someone's couch. I'm going to be an actress. I was deciding to transition from singing to acting. And then I went to this open call audition a few months later, and I was calling my parents a few days later and said, you have to FedEx my clothes. I start work on Monday. And I was supposed to go to college. And like, I did not show up for college. Like, it was like, it all happened. So it was insanity. And like I said, 6 weeks later, we were literally flying to Australia to shoot a movie.
So then the shooting schedule would have been crazy because they were doing the film and the show. And so it wasn't till after you left the show where you were like, oh, wow, that happened.
Yeah. Well, and the thing was, is we were always supposed to go and shoot the movie and like just focus on the movie. And it was supposed to take 3 months. But then the movie ended up taking 6 months. So then they were like, Fox was like, we need more episodes. Because they had basically we'd maybe shot like 20, a little under 20 episodes before we left. And so they were able to introduce us and we became Power Rangers and the whole thing, basically the rest of season 2, that is what we shot before we went to shoot the movie. And then they were like, we need more episodes, especially with these new guys, because people are loving them. And so then they were like, okay, so guess what? On your days off, we're going to shoot episodes. We were like, what? So yeah, we worked on it simultaneously, and it was insanity. But I mean, it was probably, like I always say, that Power Rangers is like the good, the bad, the ugly, the hardest job you'll ever have. It's like a year and a half of your life, and then all of a sudden, you're over, and you're like, I've never had to work so fast or so hard in my life.
It's like full-on boot camp. It's like SAS training for actors.
So how was it? How was it going into that cast? Like, they'd obviously formed relationships and they had their work schedule down. And watching those first 3 episodes that you guys feature in, that was a lot of work. Like, I can only imagine the production team trying to cover the old cast and cover you guys. And
it was crazy because they were using stock footage. So there was like these 3 doubles walking around that looked like them, but they would shoot the back of their heads. And you're right. The 3 that were there, I mean, they were a very tight-knit group. And luckily for us, though, I think that everyone was super welcoming. They knew, like, this is a new adventure. And everyone, when you're on a TV show, you go, you can either get along or you can make things hard on yourself. And we knew we were going to spend more time with our castmates than we would with our family. And so thank God we all got along. And we just were like, super excited to be there. And they were super excited to have us there. And they would just be very helpful. Paulie was kind of, he played Bulk. He was kind of like our on-set, like, go-to person. So he'd always be on set with us, like, that first week and tell us what we needed to do and how, and just kind of gave us the lay of the land and gave us, the ropes. And he would run lines with us. And even like, if we wanted some, like, let's go deeper and like really pound out this scene, he would totally work with us and do that. But yeah, it was crazy because, I mean, we get on the show. We literally were cast and we thought we were joining the cast. We didn't know we were replacing people, so it was a little daunting knowing that 3 really popular people had left the show, and our task now was to win over the kids of the world. I mean, this is literally the #1 kid show in the world, and to win all of you over and, do our job to the best of our abilities. So it was a little daunting, but for me personally, I was so excited. Everything I had dreamt, I've been dreaming of this since I was born. So I just was like, that excitement took over. And I just remember one of the producers saying, we hired you because we liked you. You're totally different. Just do Aisha the way that you would do her, and don't worry about being like any other actress on the show. Just be you. That's why we picked you. And I was like, okay.
So it's very much take a deep breath and just dive in and hope for the best. Which and you, as you said, that cattle call, you guys were lucky to be together because you had a great chemistry together, and it really mixed with the other 3, which was really like, it's kind of like that lightning in a bottle. no pun intended, lightning in a bottle moment where it all comes together, because literally you went from the number one show in the world to this monstrous movie. Like, I watched it again last night, and my little heart kind of went, I remember this. And
yeah,
it's
like funny. That movie really like speaks to a lot of people, and I'm thankful for that. You know, it was. I got to go to Australia, which literally, guys, I'm not saying this because you're Australian and we're having fun. That was like one of the places, like it was Australia and Paris. When I was a kid, that was the two places that I was like, I will do anything in my life to go there one day. So, and then you know how like you've always like dreamt of living abroad? Like I'd always was like, oh, one day I'm gonna live in another country, and we literally did. We were there for 6 months. You know, we had our own like it was like a hotel, but it was kind of like an apartment. You know, you had a kitchen and you know. And it was just the most amazing experience. And the set,
so in a way, like them messing up and having to shoot for 6 months worked out well for you guys, because you got to extend that film.
Yeah.
Because I know they shot with Mariska Hargitay from SVU, didn't they? Yes. Initially, she was Dulcia. Yeah. And so you had all that in the can, and then they were like, nah.
Yeah. It was kind of crazy because Gabrielle, who played Dulcia ultimately, she was cast as Dulcia. And it was like maybe 2 weeks before we started, we'd met her. Like we'd actually like met her. We'd seen her. She had to like get an emergency surgery. Like it just out of nowhere, she had to get something. So then they couldn't, you know, insure her, you know, and she couldn't do the physical aspect of this Dulcia. So they had to recast her. And Mariska got the job, but Mariska literally was like thrown in. She didn't have like 2 months of rehearsals because like Gabrielle had all this like rehearsal time and she didn't have any of that. And so then they shot this, and she was a wonderful actress, but it wasn't the vibe that, you know, Dulcia had. Like she wasn't as physical. It was no fault of her own because she didn't have that, you know, she didn't have that rehearsal time. And so then they went through this whole thing where they were like, oh, we're going to get a new Dulcia. And it was like all over the place. Like it's going to be Tina Turner. It's going to be this person. Like they were naming all these people that they potentially. And then they went back to Gabrielle, and we were so happy because the part was always hers. And the fact that something crazy like an emergency surgery, you know, I think it might have been her appendix, like something like that happened, you know, something she couldn't control took the part away from her. So we were so happy when she came back. But yeah,
it was meant to be for her.
Look at Mariska. She did not do bad.
Yeah. I think all right. Mariska's okay.
Mariska's over it.
Yes, and they fired me.
20-something seasons later, I think she's okay. I think she's okay. She's doing all right, you know. But this movie kind of, it was already the number one kid show in the world. This kind of just, I don't know how it must have been for you to kind of flip it all over again, to be like in a Power Ranger suit on a red carpet, you know, like this, as you said, this is like Willy Wonka's golden ticket dream stuff that's just happening to like, suck a punch every 5 seconds. You're like, what?
I say that all the time. We won the golden ticket. Like we knew the show was number one. But even though you know that, you still don't know how big it is until like it wasn't until I got out of Power Rangers, and then 10 years later we started doing Comic-Cons. Like literally at that moment I was like, oh my gosh, like this show meant so much to so many people. And when they said you're number one in the world, they were absolutely true, because I've traveled the world and people who can't even speak English, they go, Aisha, they can sing the words to the Power Ranger theme song. Yes. It's like, it's insanity.
I kid you not, Karen, I was in Thailand once, and it was like years after your season had been on, but your season was playing, and it was like all dubbed in Thai, and the people were just all like crowded around the monitor watching it. I'm like, what is going on? Like it was just a phenomenon everywhere.
It was everywhere. It was huge here. Like here, it was crazy here.
And still is. Like my daughter's 4 and she loves it. She loves the original show. She knows your character. Yeah. She's got your figurine. Like,
you know what it is? I always tell people, I get why people, not that I'm like bragging or anything, but I get why people love Mighty Morphin, because we have almost 200 episodes. So like you got to know us. It was so much character development. Aisha, I mean, everybody, like my character, what I was in that first episode to what I was at the last episode I did it's like I had parents, I had friends, I had, like, it was like this whole thing.
They gave you a world. That wasn't.
And you guys got to grow, didn't you? Like, you got to grow together, and your character really evolved. Like, look at like Amy's character from her first episode to when she left that show. Complete. Like, totally. Yeah, you guys went into adulthood together.
Yeah, everyone got a chance to really, like, I give them credit for creating Power Rangers, but I give us credit for making those characters come to life. And for really evolving.
And the chemistry you got. Because even when Catherine came along, you and Catherine had great chemistry. And Steve and I know all about the 3 Beyoncés.
Yes, we literally, we love each other so much. Catherine and Nakia, they've become like some of my really, really best friends, and they're just amazing women. And the chemistry you saw on camera, it translated to in real life. Like, we literally we're in a text chain all the time, and we talk and check in with each other. And we try to, before COVID, we would go to lunch every month. Like, we would make the time to like meet for brunch or lunch. And now it's like, we'll try to do video chats, or we'll see each other at Comic-Cons, and but yeah, those are my girls for sure.
That's so cool.
We're talking about the show and all that kind of stuff, but we can't lessen the importance of what seeing someone like you on TV was for people of color. And it's Black History Month. Look at this legacy that you created. Like,
I know.
How did you get? Again, it's probably something that you didn't even factor in while it was happening.
Well, Steve and I were talking, and like, you were the first female Black superhero live action. Because I think the only other, I was thinking, like, there was Eartha Kitt, but like Catwoman was kind of shady, man. Like,
Eartha Kitt. I mean, Catwoman was considered a villain. She wasn't Batman. She wasn't Robin.
Exactly.
She wasn't super. It was one of those things where she wasn't technically the superhero, even though she would help them or do stuff. But yeah, it's so bananas. Like, I didn't even. Of course, we didn't think about it. Like, I was too busy, like. My own dreams were becoming true, so I didn't even think that deeply on it. But yeah, someone pointed that out to us, and I was like, I can't believe it. Like, the first, like, I was like, there had to be someone else, and like, we kept looking, and other than like comic books, they didn't have any Black superheroes that were actually on TV. And yeah, me and Walter, we are so honored to have that title. And recently I've been seeing a meme, like, I literally have been tagged in so many memes because someone is like, it kind of went viral that and they were like, what, but it's just a beautiful thing. That show was a very important show to so many people, and it was such a positive thing. And I always say, like, man, Power Rangers was ahead of its time, because every single person has someone that they can identify with, whether it be race, whether it be culture, whether it be, the smart guy, the jock, the sassy girl, every kid had someone that was theirs. So that's a beautiful thing. And
it's good to see that they are still doing that kind of thing now. They're dipping their toes into the LGBTQ stuff. Like,
they are.
Finally, finally. It's great to see. It's great to see. So we just want to talk a little bit post Power Rangers as well, because as you were saying, it's such a whirlwind. Yeah. How was that decision for you to go, you know what, at the end of the day, my mental health, my physical health, everything, like, it got to, like, it's sometimes you got to put yourself forward and first. Yeah. How hard was that when you were, on this monster machine of a show, and you're like, well, you know what? It's not working for me anymore.
Right. Yeah. No, it was a hard decision for me. But it was, like you said, I had to put myself first. And I always will say, we were working on the most amazing show. I worked with the most amazing cast and crew. But we literally, the people, the powers that be, the owners of the show, were terrible to us. It was definitely a hostile work environment. There were so many occasions where they would say, if you don't do this, we'll replace you, or you'll get fired. And for me, it was.
And you knew those threats were real because they already done it.
Obvious, yeah. And they would, and it was just, it was like there were so many things that had happened that kind of led to where I finally had a meeting with them and was like, look, I think I want to leave the show. I feel like I've made my mark as Aisha. I love working on this show, but I can't be bullied into working for free on a weekend, or I can't be bullied. And they were like, oh, who's doing that to you? And the fact that they knew, it was kind of like they would always have the good cop, bad cop kind of thing. And for me, I just wanted my experience to be my own, and I just wanted it to be great. I wanted to leave on a high note. And even my leaving, they told me, oh, we're going to do 10 episodes. We're going to gently write Aisha out. And the next time I went to set, it was my last day, so even that was, it was very just bad. But
Shady.
You know what? I thank God every day that I do Comic-Cons, because literally seeing the fans and meeting all my fans that have grown up, that are no longer kids, are now adults, and now their kids are watching, it literally restored my love for the show. I had really bad feelings about the show, and I'd left. And then when I started seeing everyone and seeing all of your love and getting all that, it was contagious. I fell back in love with what we did. And I was like, I'm not going to let them steal my good memories. Like, right. I'm going to remember how great it was. I'm not going to focus on that, one aspect. I'm not going to let them win. I'm going to just remember what was great for me. And that's kind of how it ended for me. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And
the sad part is every single person who left the show would have been on there for 20 years and would have stayed there if we would have just been paid fairly and we would have been treated like humans as opposed to like an action thing.
Yeah, even watching you guys did the Entertainment Tonight 20, the reunion thing, you got the thing, and you guys say it so well. The fans love what you guys, of course they love the show, but they love the characters more, and the powers that be don't understand. You would think in this world of retroness that, hopefully with the new Netflix thing, you never know.
You never know. I mean, there've been so many whispers and talks. I haven't heard anything concrete, but they would be smart. I mean, they would be smart to get the band back together and just even if it's we're mentors to the new team, or we're heroes for a little bit, and we
cameo here and there, just
there's
some
so
fan
many
service.
Possibilities. Yeah. And the sad part is, I mean, literally for 27 years, every single fan that I've ever met, all you guys ask for is, are you ever going back? Are you ever going back on Power Rangers? So it's like, they know you guys want it, and unfortunately in Hollywood, most companies, they're not, nostalgic. They just look to the future. So hopefully one day, someone at Hasbro is nostalgic and says, you know what, let's make this happen.
I think they're starting to realize.
In power at Hasbro, we'll be right. That when the millennials get in power, they'll be right. Now, you did mention Comic-Con, so before we leave, I want to just quickly talk to you about Ranger Stop and Popcorn, which is your baby, right?
Yes. Me, Kia, and Mikey. People know Michael from Ranger Stop Orlando, but the three of us co-own Ranger Stop and Pop. And it's our own Comic-Con. And like I said, I've been doing Comic-Cons for 13 years now. And I said, I was talking to them, we were all in New York at New York Comic-Con. And I go, why are we doing all these cons and we don't own any? Like, we should own a show. Like, come on. Like, what are we? And I talked them into doing it. I don't know how.
You hustling them, girl. You did it.
Again. And it's in Atlanta, and it's so fun. And I encourage people to come. It is probably one of the best things that we could have done. It's literally like, I compare our Comic-Con to like a family reunion. Like, the fans, you don't feel like, it's us, the celebs, and the fans. It's literally a show where you can meet all your favorite Comic-Cons. You can meet pop guests. We don't just have Power Rangers. We have pop guests. We have anime guests. You can meet all of us. You can hang out with us. If you decide to do the VIP dinner, you can have dinner with us and play games. It's just, we wanted to create something where it's almost as if you've gone to family reunion and you become family with everything you know and love. And the biggest fans, they come, and it's literally like we all just party for 3 days. And have a great time. I hope one day you guys can come. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. It's this year, June 10th through the 12th. And we basically this year, the theme is Power Rangers anime and Ninja Turtles. So we've got the cast of Ninja Turtles
What a
coming. We've
theme.
got anime actors from My Hero Academia are going to be there. And I'll give you guys a sneak peek. We haven't announced this yet, but we have a couple of members of Pokemon coming. So it's Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, Pokemon, and My Hero Academia. So that's the theme for this year.
There we go.
Actors,
we have a
yes, you have an inside scoop.
Well, Karen, it has been an amazing chat. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
You were talking about family, so we might hand you over to some old friends.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is family. This is going to be the best.
Thank you, Karen.
I don't know where Kat went. I put her in and she disappeared.